Hey, Scott.
Hello, Stephen.
Thanks for sitting down.
My pleasure.
The reason why we're here is I recently had 2 interviews.
Did you?
I did. And it was actually a really intense interview between 2 different people because Progress Sitefinity and Amla Commerce, which
Okay.
is their product called Znode Commerce, have created a partnership. And I think it's exciting.
Awesome.
And what I did was I spoke with Tom Floor from Znode and Sergey Sokolov from Sitefinity.
Okay.
I asked them 4 questions.
Yep.
And what I have you here is I've cut up the response and I put it in a timeline so that you can respond to what they're saying.
Okay.
So the very first question is why did they decide to do this partnership? So I've got Tom first, Sergey after.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's a number of dynamics driving that. Clearly, content and commerce is something in the market, right? We know some of Sitefinity's competitors are also our competitors, and they're offering a bundling of CMS and true e-commerce capabilities. So there's an opportunity for our companies to be stronger together than individually. I think some of the other dynamics that we see is there's this composable mock type interest in the market as well. And Zeno is an API first platform, although we're not as completely sold on, everything has to be a microservice and everything has to be pure mock. But there's a great opportunity because of the extensibility of the platform to work with Sitefinity and add more value in both of our networks.
Great question.
All right. So that was an interesting statement. What do you think?
Well, I found it interesting that he sort of pointed out that they have similar competitors, which I sort of understand where he's coming from. But the reality is they're way better together, and anybody that's considered a direct competitor for either one of them is not doing the other thing properly. So I think I do like the partnership. I think it brings the strengths of each forward into the same category, and that's really where they're going to find success.
Yeah. And for me, what I look at is the fact that they're both API first,
Right.
which is huge in a medium B2B market or enterprise market, especially where they play. They both play in the kind of the same space.
Yep.
And then, Znode is true cloud, true headless. And that to me will help with the decoupled architecture, especially when Sitefinity can be layered on top. It just manages everything easier.
Yeah, no, I think when I found out about it, I was thought, oh, that's very sensible.
Awesome. So now what I want to do is let you hear Sergey's.
Stephen. And of course, any partnership has advantages. Sitefinity is an open system. So we generally welcome partnerships. We've done a number over the years, not necessarily just with e-commerce. So we have partnership with SiteImprove. We have huge partnership with Microsoft and so forth. But sort of back to the point, sort of why Znode? Well, first of all, they engaged us, and that's something, right? Because they recognized, first of all, sort of the partnership fit that we are an entity that is good to partner with, and so that got confirmed. So you sort of you start liking people who like you, right? That's kind of a good start. But the second is that e-commerce in particular, it has many flavors, many facets, and it applies in different verticals, and it applies in different sizes and shapes and whatnot. And while there is obviously a ton of commerce in B2C, what we're finding is that our presence is stronger in B2B. It's sort of even from the CMS and DXP perspective, just brand presentation, etc. So when somebody approaches us with a stature in B2B commerce and says, do you want to sort of join forces and develop a joint solution? It's, of course, the first response is yes, of course. And only the second question is, how will it work? Right? As opposed to the other way around. So that was kind of our approach. And the initial conversation went well. There's personal compatibility. They're sort of a very serious company. They have good footprint. and they fit the market size right. They're not the Uber company, which I don't know. We traditionally played in mid, lower enterprise market. We're growing in terms of the size of the companies we service, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity in mid-market manufacturing. So these were some of the considerations, and we've always been open to e-commerce partnerships. We don't have an exclusive with anybody, and we see that there is good potential for growing business in that area. So all of these things combined made it sort of very attractive.
I mean, a lot of sensibility there.
I mean, from our perspective,
I think Sergey's sort of got a good frame of reference and makes some very good points. I think that it was a smart decision from Zenode's perspective to obviously would have scanned the market and identified Sitefinity as a good compatible symbiotic partner to have in this ecosystem. It is unique to think of it from that sort of B2B focus.
Yes.
I think what's cool about Znode is, it's B2B to C, or B2B to X. So you can very easily instantiate and spin up multiple stores. And if you're a manufacturer or distributor that has, several channels or storefronts to enable, it's a great platform for that. And when they can go to market with a customer who is B2B, that really works well. So I think, all of Sergey's points were very valid, and I can see the rationality there.
Yeah. And for me, Sergey touched on it a little bit more. I know when it comes to a lot of different platforms, there are a lot of platforms that become, excuse the phrase, vendor whores. So they go, oh yeah, you want to be a technology partner with us? Yeah, come on in. And I've seen that a lot with a lot of the commerce platforms out there. They say, you know what, CMS, CRM, doesn't matter what it is. We definitely want you to connect into us.
Right.
Where I like the fact that Znode was, no, we're starting here. We're not going to go to every other platform. And it's the same with Sitefinity. I noticed that there was a true collaboration as opposed to another technology. That's what I really like about it. So the next question is, I basically asked both gentlemen, why do you think your customer base should be excited about this partnership? So we'll start with Tom, and then we'll go to Sergey.
And it goes back to the multi-channel, multi-store is where we overlap well with Sitefinity is mid-market manufacturing. And manufacturers typically have more than one channel. A lot of manufacturers have a portal that they need to stand up, and their distributors log in through that portal and they order in bulk. And in 2023, hopefully their salespeople can log into a portal and help their distributors order in bulk. Right. And ideally in 2023, the end customer can log in and pick their shipping and see when their products are going to arrive. So that's one channel for a manufacturer. Another channel might be direct. Maybe it's exposing their entire catalog. Maybe it's ways of getting new channel partners globally and having global commerce. And then they might be rolling up M&A and have multiple brands and need a store per brand or a store and a portal per brand. And then, of course, many manufacturers are also syndicating their catalogs to third-party resellers like Grainger, like Amazon. So the operational benefit that we're offering to the Sitefinity community is the ability to centrally manage all of that on Znode.
Well, of course, it goes both ways.
Oh, what you think?
I mean, we just sort of mentioned that as well, like that value of having that B2B to C situation enabled so quickly and easily. And I think what gets overlooked, especially in these sort of operational type of solutions, is the user experience.
Yes.
And so everything that Tom just talked about, I actually think he missed the point as well about bringing good user experience to their customers, which is going to be a huge benefit of the Sitefinity partnership.
Yeah, and he mentioned catalog,
Yep.
and that is a huge benefit of Znode. The way that you can, if you have dealers, they can only see this part of the catalog.
Right.
They can download their catalog. They do all that, but then the presentation layer of that is not where it should be. The user experience is a little bit harder, and that's where Sitefinity is really going to come in. Sitefinity managing the portal experience, I think, will be a little bit better. I like it all in all. I like what he said, though.
Yep.
All right.
Let's see what Sergey says.
Done.
I'll preface whatever I say, right? Because it's our customers who may benefit from a certain e-commerce solution. There are Znode customers who will benefit from a great CMS and presentation experience solution. All right. So if we talk about our customers, and of course there's a wide spectrum, a portion of them are in sort of manufacturing and B2B in general, because Znode is a pretty fundamental system, right? It's not light e-commerce. It's not your university shop. So I wouldn't say it's going to be a fit for any Sitefinity customer, far from that. But given we have customers in mid-market and industrial manufacturing, etc., I can go all the way to, I know, Kubota and Terex, for example. Right, they're public case studies, right? They're well-known brands. I see both on the streets here in New England. Right, every time I pass a Kubota dealer on the street, I'm like, well, they're in Sitefinity. That said, it has been, I think, the template that the early e-commerce had their own presentation management, right? Which over time, I think, became somewhat constraining for the brands. The second thing is that the presentation, and that is just for the transactional part. From the product presentation point of view, sort of the supporting content and all the media and all that stuff. Now then there is the general presence, right? How do you put up your public website and how you do branding and so forth. And I would basically deal with some sort of a continuum where you have somebody visiting we'll call it the brochure side of the company, even though it's not necessarily, let's say, light site. But then you have catalogs, you have branding and so forth. And when people log into, let's say, a portal, whether it's heavy purchase or it's a partner portal, distributor portal, and whatnot, I think it's almost the expectation that the experience changes completely because you go from a CMS driven environment to an e-commerce driven environment. And I think the expectations today really are that it's seamless. You don't need to log in twice. You don't need to re-verify. You need your profile stays the same. Your session is continuous and whatnot, and it looks the same. So I think that's where the advantages are for our customers who are on Sitefinity, and maybe they're thinking about upgrading e-commerce. Maybe they have a digital transformation in sort of afoot or sort of any change. We have common customers with Znode. So they've already kind of gotten on the train. But I think what we are both companies are looking for and want to offer to our customers on the Sitefinity side is that it's a very easy to use system for non-specialists. So from the point of view of content management, mapping content to e-commerce, creating appropriate content structurally for commerce presentation and complicated products, Sitefinity is great. So just as a front end overall, a portal solution with pretty sophisticated role management and access and so forth, and fantastic integration options. I think these all will help with time to market, with brand presence, with customer experience, and so forth. Right. So I think I can talk for another 10, 15 minutes, but I know we have limited time, so I'll stop here.
Yeah, I think that's, I mean, Sergey obviously sees the value of like the Sitefinity experience that can be brought forward there, which is what I was mentioning before. But I want to emphasize, because we've actually met, both of these companies ourselves. Yeah. We now have partnerships with both of them as well. I was talking with Tom and Sergey in person, together recently. The partnership and the actual technical integration is going to be seamless. It's going to be directly connecting the two systems. It's not one living side by side and we're going to make it look like you haven't gone anywhere. No. It's actually, they're going to be embedded together, and the user experience is going to be completely seamless. Everything that you can do from a page building perspective in Sitefinity, you'll be able to do and incorporate controls from Znode. So you can really bring the best of both platforms to life with this collaboration.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that it is user experience from both ends. Again, I've said this with Znode. Nobody does PIM better, because that's where they start.
Right.
I don't know another commerce solution that does it better. And then the user experience is what the other side that Sitefinity brings. And so between the two, I think internally organizations are going to like this a lot better than just say, hey, let's go off and...
Well, even from a management efficiency perspective, logging into one backend system to manage the experience, it will be...
it's going to be a lot better on the operational efficiency and streamlines.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. So 2 questions down, 2 more to go. So this question's around like how they both perceive the market forecasting for like the future.
All right. Let's see what Tom has to say.
Done.
It's a good question. We are seeing it there, and I'll tell you what's driving it. It's not just digital transformation, it's also the workforce. A lot of manufacturers have inside sales reps or customer service reps that are in their late 50s, and they know how the entire operation works in a non-digital world. And when they retire in a couple of years, the 20-something that comes in is not going to work in a non-digital world, and they're going to need to be onboarded quickly into digital systems. And so what we're seeing is there is a move towards, whether it's getting sales involved or actually self-serve from distributors and end customers wanting to interact with the manufacturer. But I think the bigger play that we're seeing is part of this is about human capital and preparing for the already existing labor shortage to get worse. And then, people retiring in the next 10 years, and how do you replace those people? Or better yet, how do you operate your business without replacing those people?
Yeah. So that's a really interesting point about all of this. Well, I mean, I wish I could retire in my mid-50s. That was my first thought. We could all be so lucky, but I get his point. Very good point. And actually, I have to sort of agree with the point that although we're in the digital space and we live in a world and in an ecosystem where all of our clients and the people that we interact with are embracing digital and have been for a very long time, I am still surprised how many businesses are slow to adopt, still to adopt, haven't optimized, did a system implementation 7 years ago, and they're still running on that same infrastructure. And they haven't sort of embraced an operational posture from a digital perspective. That it's been a capital expense project several years ago, and it's fine. Not everybody, obviously. And I think the message for a lot of the people that Znode reaches is it's never too late. And there's a chance to modernize and enhance and optimize every day. And they've got a good solution to do it. And I think, in fact, for the businesses that haven't yet modernized or done that digital transformation, they're going to be able to leapfrog to the top of the pile by doing it now.
Yes.
They may be laughing last because they waited, they didn't overinvest in older technology. They actually get to jump right into a very modern system that their competitors have probably sort of pieced together, and they have a more of a monolithic solution than what you're going to get when you embrace something like Znode.
Yeah, the faster time to market, the more streamlined, the more efficient you can make your platforms, and the
And your
training
workflow,
around it is going to be the difference about who stays, who goes. I mean, I've actually heard this multiple times from going to large meetups where you hear the 20 something saying, yeah, I don't want to work for this dinosaur, and it doesn't fit my criteria.
I mean, let's see what Sergey has to say in a minute, but I think there's a story to tell about from the Sitefinity side about that same market opportunity.
Absolutely.
So let's see what he says.
As much as I agree with you about digital experience, right? I think it's overused, but it's the seamless and connected part overall that matters. And that goes from unauthenticated portion of site to authenticated, to all sorts of branding, to data presentation, to mobile, to email interactions, and so forth. And I think it used to be that if you buy a tractor, you basically go to a dealer and you look at the tractor and you sign a piece of paper, right? But these days, things are digital, and the distribution is digital in many ways. So I think that we are riding on still digitization of enterprise, and and that implies that it's not just about the website, or it's not about e-commerce, but there are all other facets of the operations that come into um, I guess the um, effectively combining these systems to create that seamless experience. So you have the CRMs, and you have the marketing automation systems, you have CDPs, in as much as they can take a lift in the B2B and that space, and the mobile apps and whatnot. And so now that we're not talking about individual tools, we're talking about how they work together.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So I think we didn't explain this when we started this conversation, that I have actually never seen these responses before.
Yeah, I did the interviews.
And so I just thought it was kind of serendipitous that like Sergey went straight into sort of the same line of thinking, which just sort of reemphasizes that they're on the same wavelength. And anyway, it seems staged, but it isn't. Trust us or not. So Sergey is saying the same thing about the digitization of enterprise, and the wholesome experience, sort of that growth marketing approach to the entire digital space is still shifting in that direction, and there's still an opportunity there. And enterprises, sort of interpreting his words, do move slower, and I think that doesn't mean they don't move, and it doesn't mean they can't move, and that there isn't a big opportunity here, which was the point we made a moment ago.
Yeah, they're both saying the same thing: innovate or die.
Fair, basically.
That is basically what it is. Okay, so for our last question, so I asked Tom, how are you going to leverage Znode? Right. And then I asked Sergey, how are you going to leverage? So that's going to be an interesting question. I like both of these responses. So have at her.
Let's see what happens.
If I'm going to answer this right or not, but I would say that Znode's also very user friendly in the fact that I'm going to get a little technical here, the architecture is decoupled. So within Znode, everything can be configured. And we know in B2B in particular, that means rules, contract rules. So the ability to easily, as an administrator, configure contract rules by user account or profile and serve up the right catalog, the right price, the right shipping, you name it, is all very easy to manage for an administrator, not a technical person, but an administrator in Znode. So if you take the Sitefinity approach of being very user-friendly and easy to manage, and you layer it on top of Znode, very user-friendly, easy to manage, again, I think it from a vision standpoint, I think that both companies kind of mirror each other when it comes to taking care of the customer who's actually managing in the platform day in and day out, not the end customer who's buying, but hopefully they have a good experience too.
Of course they will, because they'll have a really good agency building that
Exactly.
experience for them. I think I'd like to roll right into Sergey's response and then sort of.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
That's actually a good idea.
All right, here we go.
So as far as new markets, I guess if we talk B2B in general, Sitefinity is there to a large degree. I think that with Znode we can go deeper, and of course there are synergies that go both ways. They can help our customers, we can help their customers. But I think that partnership also creates a more compelling value proposition for new customers, because if you combine very capable e-commerce and very easy to use, easy to compose with, easy to integrate with digital platform, which is it actually happens to be, due to its flexibility, very well fitted to commerce presentations, because we can create content for anything with any structure, any types. So mapping product data to the presentation on the, whether it's on the web, whether it's on mobile, and even if you need to print something, that's a great combination. And the ROI is going to be quite substantial because of the integrability, because of future compatibility. Now, on top of our .NET Core decoupled front end, we're starting to build out our JavaScript stack in the same architecture. So whether you're Microsoft, whether you're not Microsoft, and you want to do the same thing with Sitefinity SaaS and Znode and use Workato to integrate and build a custom front end in JavaScript with perfect drag and drop, that's all available. So from whether you're migrating, whether you're expanding your e-commerce, I think that's where we see the market expansion in creating, as I said, a more valuable system for prospects to consider.
So,
He got a little salesy there, like listing off all the features and
hey,
benefits, but
that was
fine.
Hey, no offense. I actually said that before the interview. Hey, give us a little bit of plug-in.
Okay,
Some
okay,
Easter eggs.
So yes, all those virtues and benefits are part of Sitefinity. So now, looking at how they each see the partnership as a entry into a new market expansion. Tom sees the user experience offering to be compelling, to let more people attracted to the combined solution and platform. I definitely know that that's a selling feature of Sitefinity. As soon as you pull it up and show it to them, they're like, oh, okay, now I get it. And interesting that Sergey sees it more from like a technical penetration perspective. Like there's a manufacturing B2B ecosystem out there that goes commerce first, that wouldn't necessarily look for a Sitefinity right away. So this is a chance for them to sort of ride that or piggyback on that. But both sort of API first, decoupled architectures. So, there's synergies and value there. So they're aligned on the architecture choices. And I think they both have very good points, and they're both very valid for how they're going to see sort of these products grow together.
Yeah. And again, I've evaluated a lot of commerce and a lot of CMS in my history, and a ton. And one of the primary factors with Znode was PIM. Mm-hmm. And that's everything starts with that with Znode. And I actually agree with that from a commerce perspective all the way across the board.
PIM being your product
information management. So everything in Znode starts with that product.
Right.
And within Sitefinity, you can have that same you can have everything mapped to that product through the content as well.
Right.
And I don't see a lot of solutions that can do that. So the partnership just makes a lot of sense from there.
Well, those are good conversations.
They are.
Thanks for putting that together, Stephen.
Awesome.
All right. Let us know what you think. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.